Hi, this is Conrad Zimmerman of FistShark Marketing, reminding you that this show exists because people like you support it. Go check out patreon.com/FistShark or click the big Patreon button at FistShark.com for more details on how you can help become part of the problem. And thanks for listening. Very exciting news on the fashion front. It seems that our push to get the latest craze in nerd apparel off the ground is really starting to take hold in Boston.
I love it.
Very excited.
I love it.
It looks great. It looks great. And not to, the margins are spectacular. And one of the best things about it is people have to keep coming back and buying more.
I mean, this is how Hot Topic and The Gap make their business.
Right, by making crappy clothes that wear out over time. But I think that we've really taken that to a next level in terms of clothing entropy and the recycle system of consumers.
Well, it's how fashion works. Things become out of date, they become out of season. We have created a clothing line that becomes quite literally out of date. And we don't have to keep contriving new looks, new styles, new seasons. Because this stuff is just a constantly replenishable thing that needs constant replenishment. And you know what? I have to say, I don't believe in 90% of the products we hawk. We're marketers, we're not supposed to believe in any.
Right. It's not our job to think, oh, this is a good thing for the betterment of other people.
Exactly.
It's a good thing for the betterment of our pockets.
But it speaks volumes about this that I actually believe in this. And I must confess I'm a bit of an aficionado of it, and dare I say it, a trendsetter in the movement.
No, and it looks really great. It makes a statement. It says, hey, I'm walking into this room, and I'm covered in meat.
Well, that is the whole point of Steak Punk as a geek apparel line.
Well, I mean, it's amazing we didn't get there sooner, because bacon has been so big in nerd subculture for so long that it seemed like only a matter of time before that was going to break out and make meat a part of everyday fashion. And that the bacon bow tie, that was what was the watershed moment.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, and to think that it was pure happenstance that this happened. If one of our glorious senior executives, Bosun Hornswerve, hadn't been hungry when he misread the word steampunk, he'd have never have come up with Steak Punk.
Never. It would not have happened. And yet here we are. We've got the goggle line of pork tenderloin medallions. Looks fantastic. Not super functional, but that's not really that was never the purpose of the punk lifestyle.
Yeah, I don't recommend driving in the goggles, actually, because having circles of meat, uncooked meat, pressed against your eyes while driving is, I have found, dangerous. Luckily, I only hit Craig. He's still in the parking lot bleeding and crying and wasting, all sorts of bodily fluids that could have been used in a better human being. But otherwise, victimless issue. Everything's fine. Minimal damage to the car. I think. I'm having trouble seeing even with the goggles off, actually. There's a lot
there's a little bit of a swelling
it itches
around your eyes.
Yeah, a little bit of redness. And
some kind of leakage coming out of there.
Yeah.
It's all over the table. I mean,
I noticed there was a lot of issue coming out of the flesh around my eyes. I thought I'd been crying because I never know when I have been crying, like it just happens. And then I understand that I must be sad at that point and then act accordingly. But at this point, I really am convinced that this isn't coming from tear ducts. This is just a lot of seepage, because it's very viscous and pink.
Yeah, we can see that pretty clearly.
I can't see much at all.
But that minor issue aside, that's just one link in the chain.
I mean, in the fashion industry and the beauty industry, pain is key.
Absolutely. It's what you have to go through to attain true outer beauty.
And I am assured by the people who still have visibility more than 10%, that my ham vest looks fantastic.
It really, really does. And that's a big ham. I gotta say, they really, like, the 2 slices making up the front of the vest. And then, I don't know how they managed to get the cut so that the bone, like the little eyelet bone, was right where the nipple belonged, but it's great design.
Oh, absolutely. I think what they do is they get, like, many hams, like 1,000 hams, and smush it together, and just kind of grind it up and then repurpose it into 2 big hams. The bone work, I'm not sure what they do. I have heard maybe they're using human bones, get something off a femur and just kind of smush it in and then sort of glue it in.
Just kind of cutting off a slice like a biopsy.
Yeah, they're using a very special type of glue as well to get this together, some sort of meat glue, which makes me a little bit lightheaded, but otherwise, as I say, sacrifices must be made for fashion.
That's a feature. What are you talking about? I mean, we're selling to the youth of America. If we can get them clothes that's also going to get them a little high, win-win.
Absolutely. And I mean, other than that, no issues. I must confess I'm a little bit lightheaded, but those are the sacrifices you make for fashion.
Well, and it's functional. I mean, you just take a little nibble, it's cured.
It's very edible. Very edible. If you eat it before it spoils, which, takes about 3 or 4 weeks thanks to the preservatives that are in it. I'm a little bit lightheaded, but those are the sacrifices you make for fashion.
Well, I mean, you just gotta suck it up, Jim. Just take a little nibble, you'll be fine.
Well, you do literally suck it up once the meat starts to destabilize. It becomes this sort of meat paste. You may actually see that my ground chuck top hat is starting to liquefy.
It's withering a bit.
It does.
Yeah.
It kind of wilts a bit, and that's when you know it's ready. And you get a meat straw, which just goes almost like those foam domes they had in the 80s and 90s.
Oh, like for the beer cans on either
the beer
side.
Cans.
Yeah.
But this time you can literally drink your hat as its molecules destabilize and just start to eat themselves and turn into a delicious beef chuck slurry.
Is that really healthy, though? I mean, don't get me wrong. Rotting meat, it has its place, but I would be concerned about drinking your hat in that fashion. You haven't had any problem with that?
No, not to date. Not to date. Some tumours, but otherwise really not an issue at all.
Huh. I never would have expected, because I just sort of figured people would, once the clothing started to, rot and smell, that they would just discard it and buy more. I didn't think that it would actually be repurposed as, actual food, but...
I don't think it should be, technically, medically. I spoke to Dr. Nightscream about the issue. He said it's fine. Actual medical doctors have said it's not, but as always, I trust corporate on this one. And plus, he did a routine exam of my body, said I'm perfectly 100% healthy, and I have actually contracted a new disease that he's discovered called meat syphilis.
Meat syphilis?
Yeah. The word meat made me worry it was related to the clothing, but he said it's definitely not, and not to tell anyone it was. And then he slipped me a $20 bill. At least I think it's a $20 bill, because I'm nearly blind.
Right, from the swelling and the seepage.
The swelling and the seepage, which is a byproduct of meat syphilis as well, but in a different area on my body.
Yeah, but you look great.
I look fantastic. So all in all, as I say, big fan of this. Ever since we've introduced steak punk to the market, there have been, I want to say, maybe 50 or 60, what's the word for it? Vehicle collisions? I guess that's a safe way of saying it. Very sort of admittances to hospital, admitted to steak and meat, and I'm a little bit lightheaded. But those are the sacrifices you make for Craig in the parking lot. I can't see very well.
Well, I have some news I never thought, I would be talking about.
I love news. Lay it on me, sister.
News is good.
Well, One of our two most interesting clients, Kevin Bacon and George R.R. Martin, have decided to join forces.
Whoa. Well, hold on. Bacon is going to star in a production of one of Martin's stories rewritten for the screen. I mean, that's huge. That's huge.
No, well, not quite. They are taking a different turn in their careers, the both of them.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes, they are. Conrad, are you not aware of this?
No, I hadn't. Nobody looped me in.
Oh, this is good stuff. Caitlin seems a little bit skeptical of it, but I think it's fantastic.
Okay, so what are they doing then? If it's not going to be a film project or a book of some kind, what's the plan? What are they doing?
They, I don't know how to say this. I mean, they are interested in starting a band.
They want to start a band?
They want to quit their careers. George R.R. Martin doesn't even want to finish the Game of Thrones series. He's done. He says he's done. He's throwing away the pen and he's picking up a microphone.
Yeah, he said it's time to put away A Song of Ice and Fire and sing a different song. Specifically songs in a band that he is in with Kevin Bacon. It was a very badly written press release for someone who's a gifted novelist.
I guess I'm just confused. I mean, neither of them, as far as I'm aware, have any musical talent whatsoever. Plus,
of course, George R.R. Martin is famous for writing infamous wedding scenes, and so the whole wedding thing that they're going for is it's at least making for some fun, light-hearted humor in interviews,
Yeah, he's very excited about the premise of doing themed red weddings and singing at them.
Yes, because they are. I don't know if you've picked up on this yet, Conrad. They're going to be wedding singers specifically. That's going to be their way into the industry.
They want to be a wedding band.
Mm-hmm.
And they want to have performances where there's a theme around a wedding in which everybody gets killed.
Spoilers, Conrad, spoilers. I mean, this is the thing that you fail to realise. George R.R. Martin, incredibly successful in his field, right? Acclaimed novelist, name known around the world. Kevin Bacon, acclaimed actor, very successful Hollywood icon, known around the world. It stands to reason that you put them together, whatever they do is going to be doubly successful.
Well, but only if they have some kind of talent for it, right? Or an ability. I mean, simply just slapping their names on a marquee isn't necessarily indicative of success, is it?
Well, I mean, they're both talented. I think that's the point we got to drive home here. We don't have to specify what that talent is. We just know that they're both talented. That's taken as read, and that's why 6 Degrees of Thrones is going to be the hottest musical act in the wedding scene.
I guess it's going to have to be, because that's what the clients want.
Absolutely, it's what the clients want. George R.R. Martin is going to bring a lute. Kevin Bacon's got his saxophone. They're going to sing Red, Red Wine.
I can see that. I could see that working to some degree. So have they gotten any takers? Is anybody hiring them to do weddings?
We've had some interest. Most of the prospective clients would rather the instruments be real rather than fashioned from shoeboxes and bits of string and the like.
So they're not even springing for actual instruments. They're making everything themselves, and I mean it's artisanal. Well, I mean there's something to that.
Well, to their credit, they do have the Game of Thrones soundtrack playing in the background while they're, quote, performing.
Yeah, it's actually a really clever mashup. What it is, it's the entire audio from Hollow Man played alongside the Game of Thrones theme tune on loop.
So it's like a mashup thing.
Yeah, it's quite cacophonous.
Do they pair well? Like, do those things go together, like in a sort of Dark Side of the Moon, Wizard of Oz type way? Or?
Not at all, actually. Especially at the volume they have it at, it's quite dangerous. But here's where the thinking comes in with Kevin Bacon, especially because he's so on board with this. When he's singing Macarena, he can't play saxophone at the same time. Give him a length of hollow copper piping to hold like a saxophone, and he can just yell Macarena down.
I guess I could see how that would be liberating. It's sort of the opposite of lip syncing. You know, like they're pretending to play the instruments, but actually singing while they do it.
Singing is... we don't want to be too specific with that word. That word gets thrown around a little bit too much. Because George R. R. Martin, he prefers to... Well, I don't know, let me play you a little bit of it.
Besides the obvious copyright infringement on
it's a cover
the Backstreet Boys.
It's a cover band.
Yeah, nobody's going to give them a hard time for playing live, I don't think.
Even if they were selling this stuff without the rights, it's very hard to draw a similarity between the original Backstreet's Back and George R. R. Martin's zesty take.
That is, it is different. I will give it that. Is it marketable?
It's George R. R. Martin. I mean...
I suppose you're right. On name recognition alone, we could probably get a little bit of mileage out of it. At least curiosity purchases.
Have you tried to describe the Song of Ice and Fire books to someone who's never read them? It's a hard sell. You know, some blokes mope about in the snow for a minute, and then people get attacked and killed every other page. It sounds very depressing. But they're a masterpiece, critically acclaimed.
Hugely successful, yeah.
Absolutely. Even if George R. R. Martin uses 2 R's in his name because he wants to be a pretentious dick and sound like Tolkien.
What this is that we're really just expecting George R. R. Martin to do it again, to create something undeniably successful in spite of every rational opposition to it.
Yes, absolutely. And I really think with Kevin Bacon's natural charisma and charm and copper pipe, there is very little they can't conquer.
So
it's real copper.
Are they just limiting themselves to weddings, or would they be willing to do some other events, maybe a bar mitzvah?
They get fucking angry if you suggest anything other than weddings.
Really?
Violently angry. Kevin threw his pipe at me when I said bar. I didn't even finish saying the word bar mitzvah. I said barm and I had to duck.
Huh. Wow.
He slings it like you would not believe. He's like Bullseye from Daredevil or something.
Well, that's unfortunate, because you would think that if they were willing to broaden the range of events that they would perform at, they'd have, a little better opportunity at success, a little more exposure.
He gets range on that pipe.
Yeah, does he?
He throws it too much. That's my one concern with the whole wedding thing, is it's out of his hands more time than it's in his hands.
Oh.
He gets a little carried away.
Yeah, and he expects it to come back, and it doesn't, and that makes him angry, and he throws his backup pipe.
Nobody's getting hurt, though, right? He's not actually hitting anybody.
Well, I mean...
There was that dog.
In court, legally, no, but technically, yes.
Yeah, like with enough hush money, he's hurt no one. But it's costing him quite a bit, to say nothing of the amount of pipes he's bought. I don't know how big wedding stages are. Can they carry a dumpster full of copper pipes? We emptied the spines out.
If it's just George and Bacon on the stage, yeah, you could probably fit a dumpster in there. I mean, you don't need room for a drum kit, right?
Well, that's when they're not playing with Rush.
Wait, they're playing with Rush?
No, but they've set up the band like they are.
Right, so they have just some sort of massive 3-bass kit set up in a corner, empty, just in case Geddy Lee shows up.
Bass guitar, lead guitar, untouched. Just in case Rush is at the wedding and feels like coming up and jamming with the boys.
Yeah, they even named their opening song Tom Sawyer.
But they go through the 2 hours of setup, not to mention the full dress rehearsal the night before on the off chance.
On the off chance, yes.
Oh, wow. Tell me they're expensive, at least.
Oh, absolutely. Highly expensive.
That's good, because that's a lot of man-hour and labor to put into, and not to mention,
Oh, sorry,
our percentage.
Who did you mean when you said expensive?
I meant 6 Degrees of Thrones.
Oh, I was talking about the drum kit and the guitars. Although the drum kit has depreciated in value, because Jeremy Renner actually was at a wedding that they tried out for, and joined them on stage. He didn't play the drum kit, he fucked it, but it made some noise.
Once again, there just seems to be no hope for our friend Jacob the Screaming Horse.
He's not marketable, and I don't know why.
We have literally tried everything you can to make a horse successful in this industry, and he's not hitting, and I don't understand it. I mean, what was so fucking special about Mr. Ed and his show? A horse, of course, and all that bullshit. He gets to talk for 5 years on TV. We can't get this horse through a pilot.
A horse, of course, is bullshit, doesn't even make sense. A horse, is fucking brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, this whole thing is disappointing to me because we've invested a lot in our dear friend Jacob.
Yeah, we've spent a tremendous amount of time and energy and effort. And it's not even like it's his fault. He puts his heart and scream into everything he does. Remember that time that we tried to get him the gig in the Rose Bowl parade? And he was marching along. And, I mean, just so much energy, so much passion into it. And just fell flat with people. Like, everybody just stared as if they weren't seeing something amazing.
I mean, some people ran away, which I didn't...
I don't get.
Everything was marketed so perfectly. He looks like a horse and screams all the time. Jacob the Screaming Horse. He sounds like a woman victimized by a crime. Jacob the Screaming Horse.
I mean, that was just that was the setup too. I mean, as a show, I saw potential not just for the TV series, the live action, but the kids' animated program. My Little Pony's huge. Could you imagine the crossover phenomenon we could have had introducing Jacob the Screaming Horse to My Little Pony Friendship is Magic?
Absolutely. My Little Pony screaming is magic.
I mean, and we even had the action figures pre-lined up, which may have been a mistake on our part, but they were lovely.
Oh,
I mean, the children pulled on the string, and then it was a...
I honestly expected Tickle Me Jacob to be the hottest selling item of that year.
It just doesn't make sense. I mean, the way in which they designed that toy to scream differently depending on what part of Jacob you tickled.
Well, just like the real horse. I mean, when you press on Jacob's back and he'd do that... It delighted me. I don't know why the children were so scared of it.
Well, and you remember that time that we made him the spokesman for solar energy.
Oh, yeah.
We had him in that field with all of those panels set up and just looking straight into the camera, looking back at the panels, back at the camera. Like, it conveyed so much emotion, so much heart, because there's so much fear and doubt and uncertainty about the future of our energy security. And I thought that he really managed to encapsulate all of that into just one expression.
It was truly an emotional moment for me. I mean, on par with the Native American littering message.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and he didn't need some fake tear stuck to the side of his face to do it. He did it all with his soul and his horrifying scream. It's a real shame. I feel terrible that we weren't able to come up with anything better for him than what he's doing now.
Well, at least where he failed to gain traction in life, he has made a very successful product in death.
That's true. That's true. Sending him off to be made into glue, it might have been a difficult choice. It certainly was difficult to convince him of that. And the way he screamed as they put him on the conveyor into the factory.
But then, ironically, once he was actually fed into the machine, finally found peace towards the end, as he was, as his bones and tendons were rendered onto a thick adhesive paste.
I mean, we did give him a proper roast.
We did.
Celebrity roast.
We did.
Which was an honor.
That's true. No, we were good to Jacob. We tried really hard, and I don't want to say he seems a little ungrateful there at the end, but this glue, I don't know if you've been using it, but any amount of pressure at all on the joint that you would hear, you just hear this.
People have been complaining that the new FistShark brand glue is screaming. It's screaming glue it's a novelty, but it puts you off sniffing it.
Well, I mean, at first when I used it and the came out, I was a little bit delighted, but
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of heartwarming at first, right? And I don't know if maybe that's just due to my personal connection to Jacob the Screaming Horse. That, I felt, it's like...
We get nostalgia. We
Yeah.
get to think of the fun times we had with Jacob the Screaming Horse, like that time we were near him and he screamed.
Right. But, and maybe that's the problem. Maybe, with the sales of the glue and people not understanding what's there is that, because, I mean, it was just so hard. It was just so hard to work so much over all of this time.
I know.
And have no reward for him.
You were very close to Jacob, and
I'm very close to Jacob now, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah, I've been sniffing him all day. Not a great actor, not a wonderful singer. I mean, talented in many, many ways. But I gotta admit, the best work he's ever done is going on in my brain now.
You know what? I'm high in my heart.
High on Jacob.
High on Screaming Jacob, the horse that screamed a lot. You gluey bastard.
rest in peace.
FistShark Marketing is Jim Sterling, Conrad Zimmerman, and Caitlin Cook. Theme music by Ben Rama. Additional music by Alizar Chan. Our editor is Nick Malone. Get more episodes and learn how to help support the show at FistShark.com. Follow us on Twitter at FistShark for more of our exploits. Complaints can be forwarded via email to fistsharkmarketing@aol.com. And remember, your silence is golden. Goodbye.